It was a typical Monday morning at Smith& Company, a leading marketing firm in the city. The office was buzzing with activity as employees rushed to their desks to start their day. Among them was Emily, a beautiful and talented marketing manager who had been with the company for 5 years. She was known for her exceptional work and was well liked by her colleagues. As Emily stepped into the elevator, she was surprised to see her new boss, James, who had taken over as the head of the marketing department just a week ago. James was known for his charming and charismatic personality, but Emily had always found him to be a bit too full of himself. "Good morning, Emily," James said with a smile, his eyes scanning her from head to toe. "You look stunning today. I'm sure you know why I wanted to talk to you." Emily felt a shiver run down her spine as James leaned in close. She tried to brush it off as mere flirtation, but something about his tone made her uncomfortable. "I'm not sure what you're referring to, James," Emily said, trying to keep her voice steady. "Oh, come on, Emily," James said, his voice taking on a menacing tone. "You know exactly what I'm talking about. I want to promote you to the position of senior marketing manager. But I need to make sure you're willing to do what it takes to get ahead." Emily felt a surge of shock and outrage as James's words hung in the air. She knew that she was qualified for the position, and she didn't need to resort to anything unethical to get it. "I'm not interested in discussing this further, James," Emily said firmly. "I'm a professional, and I expect to be treated with respect. Any advances you make towards me are inappropriate and unacceptable." James's smile faltered, and he looked taken aback by Emily's response. But he quickly regained his composure and exited the elevator, leaving Emily feeling shaken and disturbed. Later that day, Emily decided to report the incident to the CEO of the company, David. She had always respected David's fairness and integrity, and she knew that he would take her complaint seriously. David listened attentively as Emily recounted her encounter with James. He was visibly upset and promised to take immediate action. The next day, David summoned James to his office and used a polygraphic machine to test his honesty. The machine detected deception in James's responses, and David was left with no doubt that James had indeed harassed Emily. James was fired on the spot, and Emily was promoted to the position of senior marketing manager. The company launched an investigation into the incident and took steps to prevent similar occurrences in the future. Emily was relieved and grateful to have the support of her employer. She knew that she had done the right thing by reporting the incident, and she was proud to have a company that valued its employees' well-being and respect. As for James, he was left to pick up the pieces of his shattered reputation. He had lost his job and the respect of his colleagues, and he realized too late that his actions had consequences. The news of James's firing spread like wildfire through the office, and Emily was flooded with messages of support and congratulations from her colleagues. She was relieved that the ordeal was over, but she was also shaken by the experience. David, the CEO, called Emily into his office again to assure her that the company would do everything in its power to prevent similar incidents in the future. He also offered her counseling services and support to help her deal with the emotional trauma she had suffered. Emily was grateful for David's kindness and understanding. She knew that not all companies would take her complaint seriously, and she felt lucky to work for a company that valued its employees' well-being. As the days went by, Emily threw herself into her work, determined to prove herself as a capable and dedicated marketing manager. She worked long hours, pouring her heart and soul into her projects, and her hard work paid off. She received accolades from her colleagues and supervisors, and she felt a sense of pride and accomplishment. Meanwhile, James was struggling to come to terms with his loss. He had always been a confident and arrogant person, and his firing had left him feeling humiliated and defeated. He began to question his own abilities and wondered if he had been blinded by his own ego. James's colleagues, who had once admired him for his charm and charisma, now shunned him. They saw him as a harasser and a bully, and they didn't want anything to do with him. James's marriage also began to suffer as a result of his firing. His wife, who had always been his biggest supporter, was now disgusted by his behavior. She felt that he had betrayed her trust and their values, and she didn't know if she could ever forgive him. As the months went by, James became increasingly isolated and withdrawn. He stopped attending social events and avoided his colleagues, feeling like a pariah. He knew that he had lost his job and his reputation, and he didn't know how to rebuild himself. Emily, on the other hand, was thriving. She had found a new sense of purpose and confidence, and she was determined to make a difference in her company and her community. She became an advocate for workplace harassment and bullying, using her experience to help others who had been through similar ordeals. In the end, James's firing had been a wake-up call for him. He realized that his behavior had been unacceptable and that he had let his ego and arrogance get the better of him. He began to work on himself, seeking counseling and self-reflection, and slowly but surely, he started to rebuild his life. As for Emily, she went on to become one of the most respected and admired leaders in her company. She had faced her fears and overcome them, and she had emerged stronger and more resilient as a result.
Please subscribe to my channel Lessons of Life and press the bell notification icon.